Welcome to another episode of Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. I am Bean, and hopefully you're having a good night on this Friday night. This is something new. I'm gonna try to get live here a little bit more often. Um, on the weekdays or maybe on Fridays, Wednesdays, and stuff like that. Because I generally was going live just 6 p.m. Sunday Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to still go live every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. So if you're here and you're up on this late night, it's like about 11 p.m., about an hour before midnight, here in Ohio, USA, in the city of Cincinnati, Ohio. All right, so let's just talk about a few things. And let's just kind of reach back to last week. I was kind of talking about the Joseph Parker and Joseph Parker versus Fabio Wardley. It was definitely everything I expected it to be, except for the way it kind of ended to an extent. Um, on both sides, heavy leather. Two big guys throwing, heavy leather from the sounding bell up until the late 11th round when it got stopped. Joseph Parker is what I definitely consider a throwback fighter. So to me, I never want to overlook the fact that Joseph Parker is he's a type of fighter who fights everybody and he invites himself to be challenged. You don't see that in today's boxing. No matter if you're a heavyweight, a welterweight, a lightweight, or whatever, you always see guys that are trying to pad their records. They're trying to protect their O. They're not really trying to go the extra length to prove that they have another level of greatness. And that's one thing I can definitely say. Joseph Parker, even though he may come short here and there, he's willing to fight the best that there is to offer in the heavyweight division. Now, with him, the way he kind of maneuvered through the heavyweight division is kind of weird because you look at the fact that he fought Andy Ruiz for the WBO some years ago in a very close contested fight. Um, and then you had a few years after that, he fights Anthony Joshua in a somewhat of a lackluster performance on both ends. The ref really didn't let them fight. Um, the ref was kind of intervening and being in the way. So Joseph Parker nor AJ could really get it off like they would want to, right? Dillian White in his prime, it was a war. Um, but I do feel like there were certain factors there, but you can't make no excuses. You can take nothing away from Fabio Wardley. He did what he came to do, and he did what he was supposed to do. But I do feel like the weight was the issue with Joseph Parker. He should have never weighed in at 262 pounds. But to me, the fact that he came in at 262 was for him to be able to, or in his mind, he felt like he could take punches better. So maybe his chin resistance would be better or whatever. And also, I think he felt that the extra weight, he would be able to hit harder. But to me, um, having an extra 20 or 30 pounds can hinder your stamina, your work rate, your output of punches, um, your mobility, things like that. You know what I'm saying? I think you want to stay within a certain a certain range of your weight. For instance, I seen an interview with pertaining to Alexander Usyk. I believe it was Alexander Krusik. Well, anyways, he was saying how when you see Usyk fight, he always stays within like 10 pounds. So if he's like 220, the highest he may go is 220 to 225, maybe 230, 215 to 225, maybe like a 10 pound differential. But you never see him looking out of shape or nothing like that. Um, so it is, is what it is. Um, hey, what's up, bro? What's up, Elijah? What's going on, Cash Bandit? What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing out there, everybody? Um, just talking a little bit about this boxing, y'all, for a little bit on a late night. Um, so yeah, it's a whole lot going down in boxing, man. And of course, the back and forth with Layla Ali and Clarissa Shields. I'm not going to go too far into that, but as we know, Layla is a legend in her own right. But as my homegirl said, Jab Queen, boxing. Boxing is only just a portion of what Layla Ali is known for from back in the day, but pretty much now she does like home networks, cooking shows, recipe shows. She does a lot of other things to bring in her income or whatever. But with Clarissa Shields in the modern day of today's boxing, being the GOAT of boxing, I feel like the best thing for Clarissa to do is just, as my cousin Cam J said, focus on the fighters of today. Clarissa don't need to be focused on Layla Ali, who is like 17 years, 18 years older than her. She needs to focus on fighters like um, DAZN and Shadeja Green. She needs to focus on the fighters, the female fighters of this era, and that's pretty much just the bottom line, man. All the extra stuff, going back and forth, and I'm saying this about you, and you're gonna say this about me. It really don't really mean nothing. It's just a whole lot of unnecessary drama, really, because it's not going to end in a fight between Clarissa Shields versus Layla Ali. Layla just dropped a video recently saying that she will not reward Clarissa Shields with a payday. So, you know, there you have it. You know what I'm saying? So that's not going to happen. So we can move on from this subject, right? So I want to know what y'all think about the about that fight with Parker and Fabio Wardley. It was stopped in the 11th. Some people say it was a bad stoppage, but then you have people like Frank Warren, of course, who's going to say it was a proper stoppage because it gives Fabio Wardley a shot at potentially Usyk. You know what I'm saying? Or whoever. If it ain't Usyk, maybe Cabiel or somebody like that. So I just want to know what y'all think. Was it a fair stoppage or was it an unfair stoppage? Because it's pretty subjective. You know what I'm saying? There's really no right or wrong answer really when it comes to this. Because some people felt like, hey, the potential of a lot more damage could have happened if Parker was able to continue. But then some people looked at the body language of Fabio Wardley during the time of the stoppage and said, well, look, Fabio was coming on strong, but being that Parker was able to deflect a lot of these punches, all those punches was not flush, and by the time the ref was stepping in to wave it off, Fabio Wardley had gassed out. So it would have been prime time for Parker to return his attack or whatever. Because towards the end, you see Fabio Wardley hit the canvas like he falls on his back. I think he would just wore out. You know what I'm saying? Um, so it's one of them things, man. You just don't know because the way it ended is how it ended. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, let's talk about Yarde versus Benavidez. David Benavidez and Yarde, right? I like Yarde, but I feel like he's kind of like reminds me of not fighting wise, but kind of like the effect, kind of like a Teofimo Lopez, or who's another example? It's like Yarde's a good fighter, but he's inconsistent. So you've seen performances from Tio Lopez where you're like, man, he looked good. You know what I'm saying? But then you'll see him in another fight. It's like every other fight is he might have an elite level performance, but then he'll have a mediocre performance. So it's like with Anthony Yarde, he looked real good against Beterbiev, but then when he came back to fight the opponent after that, it was like, bro, is this the same Yarde we just saw against Beterbiev? Because the Yarde we saw versus Beterbiev was going to war. He was all the way locked in, zoned in, and he looked very, very dangerous. But then when he came back to fight his next opponent, and I'm about to look that up because I can't remember off the top of my head. But when he fought his next opponent, it was like, I don't know what's going on right now. Because you do not look like the same guy that was in there against Beterbiev. So that opponent was, Silva, but who I had in mind, it wasn't the very next guy after that. It was Lyndon Arthur, the last performance. When he fought Lyndon Arthur, I'm like, man, this ain't the Yarde that version of Yarde is not going to beat David Benavidez. You have to look like the version of Yarde that fought Beterbiev to have any chance. So let me know what y'all think, though, as far as like a prediction. If you have a prediction for Yarde versus David Benavidez, let me know your prediction, and also let me know why you feel this way. Like, why do you feel that Yarde beats Benavidez, or why do you feel that Benavidez will beat Anthony Yarde? Let me know. Um, Also, let's talk about just a little bit, and I'll probably talk about this more on Sunday. But let's just talk just a little bit on the surface. What are your thoughts on Tank Davis versus Jake Paul? And if you've been really, really, really following it, what is your take on it? Like as far as what are some of the rules? Because come on, let's keep it real. It's an exhibition though, and I'm a Tank fan, but it is an exhibition. But it's still it's going to bring in the views. So on a business aspect, on getting paid a very good purse, Tank Davis is going to get paid very well. Just like you see, you got Tank, and then Jake Paul. Yeah, he's gonna get paid very well. You know what I mean? So I want to know y'all take on that, man, on what you think. Uh, Shout out to Correa. You said you're right. Worley was gas. Parker had more to give. yeah, man, it was just like right in that moment, the defining moment to stop the fight. It's like, oh man, this is the chance for Parker to get his get back, and potentially he may have stopped Fabio Worley, a few seconds after it was called off. Um, and I know Frank Warren went on in this interview saying that Parker didn't. Yes, Parker did complain because Parker was on Parker was on an interview, and he was talking about the fact that uh, he was talking about the fact that you know it is what it is as far as it being stopped, but I don't think Parker agreed with the stoppage himself. Um, and what do y'all think? I mean, even after we get past this, because a lot of people are saying if you're like a boxing purist, it's not necessarily something you want to see, right? You're not trying to really see Jake Paul versus Tank. But what about the aftermath, though? After this fight happens, do you feel like Tank is going to fight um, Lamont Roach Jr. in the rematch? Do you think we will get Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson? And speaking of Shakur Stevenson, there is circulating pictures of Shakur Stevenson with Jake Paul and a few other guys. So I don't know if you want to say that's like Shakur Stevenson trolling Tank Davis, but somehow he always finds himself trying to be attached to Tank. So, hey, I mean, I'm all for it if it's going to end up in them two being in the ring. If Shakur is going to actually fight Tank and Tank is going to actually fight Shakur in 2026, hey, I'm all for that. You know what I'm saying? All the little antics and, like I said, the fact that Shakur is sparring uh, Jake Paul, it just makes a little storyline or whatever. Um, so we'll see, man. We're gonna see what goes on with that, right? But I just want to know y'all take on it too. What's your opinion on it? Um, you said Caria. You said I think he doesn't want to fight against Roach. I would love for the rematch though. I had him up in the fight. Yeah, man. Man, I'm hoping the rematch still happens though, because at the end of the day, it's like I understand Tank sounds like he's tired of boxing and he's fed up with boxing or whatever. But here's my thing: your legacy, you only get to have one legacy in your life. If you step into that ring, you've done come this far. You've come this far into boxing. My thing is, since you're already like towards that finish line, why not go out with a bang? Why not go ahead and clear up the answer with Lamont Roach so it could be no more controversy? Um, and speaking of Lamont Roach, I want to say condolences to his family. He lost his mother, so condolences to the Roach family. But I think Tank will want to end that on a better note, not just leave it with an asterisk there, to where people in the future can say, "Oh man, Tank Davis, uh, he had a very tough fight with Lamont Roach, and after that, we never seen him fight a certain level of opponent after that." You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people are on different social medias and interviews saying that Tank is fighting B-level performers and stuff like B-level opponents and stuff like that, right? So we'll see. You said that Shakur fight would be interesting, but takes that. I feel the same way, man. Now, let me know why you feel that way though, and let not just me, but let the audience, the YouTube audience, know as well, man. Let them know why you feel that way, because some people feel that Shakur is so slick and he's so dynamic that he can beat Tank Davis. So you're like me. I feel like Tank will win, but let me know on why you feel that Tank will win and how would he win. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that, in my opinion, and I know Shakur fans, are not going to like what I have to say, but this is just my opinion, right? But it's like Tank, we know what he can do. We've seen his devastating punch power. Shakur is, he has nice skills. He has good skills or whatever. When you talk about resumes, I wouldn't say either guy has a resume that trumps the other. Like resume from Shakur doesn't trump Tank's. Tank's resume doesn't trump Shakur's. But the power, the chin, and the footwork of Tank, you must consider that. We've seen Tank be hit by some decent punchers. Pitbull Cruz is a puncher. Uh, Frank Martin, he could hit pretty good. Um, so we've seen, and Lamont Roach, he's a good counter puncher. So we've seen Tank take some good punches. Uh, the best we've seen Shakur is obviously the Zepeda fight, and so full credit to him on his performance. But after that performance, Shakur, he said in interviews he didn't like the way he got touched up. He didn't like the fact that Zepeda was able to land that many flush punches on him. So Shakur took risks that he normally wouldn't take. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't sound like he was very keen on wanting to fight that type of way again. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that. That's like the only time we'll see Shakur fight that style fight. He's going to be the type of fighter that we saw prior to that, where his granddad was telling him, "You got to do more" and stuff like that. And he's over there arguing with his grandfather. I think we'll see more of that side of Shakur. And if he fights somebody like Tank, Tank can take a punch for sure. Tank is more willing to take a punch than Shakur is, if I'm being honest. So that's going to play its part too. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's going to be like I hate to use that term now that Turkey Al Sheikh has already used it, but to an extent, it's going to be like a cat and a mouse type of thing, if you ask me. You said you would think so. I feel like he might think he has shown he's better, even in that fight. I don't know if he feels he has anything to prove. Tank has shown his ability to read and adapt, even to slick boxers. I think it'd be a decision personally. Plus, he has nasty knockout power, and that's a fact. He definitely has nasty knockout power. And back to kind of what I was saying before, it's like Tank, because he is a knockout puncher, that's all people hold you to sometimes. Because they see the highlight reels, they're not looking at the fact that you're setting up traps. They're not looking at the fact that Tank has, um, you know, to a certain level, he has educated feet. And since we're talking about Tank's power and his feet, let's also talk about um, Brian Norman Jr. Because to me, he's another guy that people see your knockout reels. They think, okay, he just has a mean left hand or left hook or whatever. They're not paying attention to the fact that Brian Norman Jr. also has decent footwork. Now, I can't say that he has his feet are as slick as Devin Haney's will be when they fight. No, but he will still be able to uh, close the distance a lot faster than a plotter. Um, Brian Norman Jr. is not a plotter. He will be able to cut off the ring and close the distance in a decent amount of time, and that will be problematic for Devin Haney. I mean, Devin Haney is just a pure scientific boxer. You know, pretty slick, has a good jab. So Brian Norman, he knows this, and I think Brian Norman will be willing to take the risk because he wants to get on the inside, mid range, or whatever to be able to uh, land that punch. And I mean, I would hate to go based on just one particular fight that Devin Haney didn't look so good in. Uh, but even with the controversy with Ryan Garcia and the Osterine, it's like he was still able to find his mark. He was able to land that left punch, that left hand, and dropped Devin Haney multiple times, pretty much with the same punch. So, so when we think about it in that aspect, there, will Brian Norman Jr. be able to land a similar punch that will be devastating and um, that will rock Devin Haney to where he won't be able to get back up? So I would like to know y'all opinions. You said you've got a point. Tank's a really smart boxer. He's got counter punching as well as that knockout power. I haven't seen much of Norman Jr. though. Well, when you get time, check out some highlight footage and check out the last few fights of Brian Norman Jr. I know he went over to Japan and won by knockout. So go on YouTube and check out some of his highlights and his last maybe two opponents, and let me know what you think. You know, even if you come back to this, revisit this same live after you see Brian Norman Jr., let me know what you think after you see him. So that's gonna be a good matchup. Um, but I'm also looking forward to we spoke about Lamont Roach, right? So Lamont Roach Jr. when he fights Pitbull Cruz, I don't think I think a lot of people think that there's this a big gap and a real big disparity when it comes to Pitbull Cruz and Lamont Roach Jr. Well, definitely Pitbull doesn't have as many dimensions, not as many dynamic. But with Tank and Lamont Roach, you did see Lamont Roach be a mover like a Shakur Stevenson or like a Devin Haney. He kind of was in the pocket, but he was very on point as far as his counter punching, the way he protected himself, the way he would, deflect shots with his shoulder and stuff like that. So I feel like with Pitbull Cruz, he's gonna apply the pressure that he always applies on each and every opponent, and he's gonna try to grind down um, Lamont Roach Jr. Now, what'll be interesting is to see Pitbull going to the body of Lamont Roach Jr. and how Lamont Roach Jr. takes the body shots coming from Pitbull Cruz. Um, so that's going to be an interesting style matchup right there. I would like to know what you think about that as well. What you think about Pitbull Cruz versus Lamont Roach Jr. Predictions, what happens, um, and how it ends. You know what I'm saying? I would like to know. You said Bet I love seeing new fighters. I'm the same way, bro. I love seeing new fighters, and I go back and see new fighters. And I like to go back personally myself to the early 2000s, around Klitschko era. To me, in the heavyweight division, it was a very it's what I call the dark age of boxing. Like to me, it was probably the worst era of heavyweights, collectively. Not to say that there was no talent at all there. Shannon Briggs had good talent. Let's go, champ. Um, Big Sam Peters, he was a powerhouse with size. Lamont Brewster, he did what he did when he beat Klitschko and became champ. So, but I feel like overall there wasn't a big amount of a big pool of talent collectively in the 2000s as far as heavyweights. Well, being that I was not too much of a that I became a fan in 1987 when I saw Mike Tyson knock out Michael Spinks. But in the 2000s, after Lennox Lewis had beat Holyfield and Mike Tyson, I started to lose my passion for the sport of boxing as far as following boxing. So that 2000 era is very, very great. It's very great for me, and I'm very straightforward about that. So I didn't really watch a lot of boxing back in the 2000s era. So I just know like bits and pieces of people, in that era. I knew who were some of the top people, like shout outs to Ohio, Kelly Pavlik up north. I knew Kelly Pavlik was a very formidable guy in that era. Um, Me- um, Meldrick Taylor or Jermaine Taylor. Um, so yeah, that 2000s. I like to go back and do a lot of reviews as far as me just educating myself on the part of boxing history that I kind of didn't really follow at that point in time, and I just kind of got back into boxing um, when the Deontay Wilder comeback era was when he came into the division, and Anthony Joshua started coming up. You said Cruz pressure might be a problem for Roach, but Roach has good footwork to gain the space he needs. Roach can telephone booth too once in a while. Yeah, and that's what's gonna make it interesting is when he gets in that telephone booth and they have those moments and they really engage. It's gonna be interesting to see for sure. Um, because Pitbull got power. I mean, we saw the way he did Rolly Romero. He had Rolly going all around that ring when he was catching him, and Rolly is known for power. Tank said Rolly can hit. A few other people say Rolly Romero has power. Um, so we gonna see, man. We gonna see how it all starts to unravel, how it all plays out, man. I'm just looking forward to seeing some good matches, man. Um, Now, the fight that got postponed, Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Keith Thurman. Um, Man, that's such a good style matchup. I just can't wait for Sebastian Fundora to be fully healed from his injury because when that fight does happen, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, and it's definitely gonna be um, to me a moment to where Keith Thurman can really make a statement. Because Sebastian Fundora, he's no pushover and he's very awkward because he's so tall and he's so rangy, he's so long. He got those long arms and those long legs. You know what I'm saying? So for him to figure out a way to get mid range or on the inside to get past the end of that long jab of Sebastian Fundora, that's going to not be an easy task within itself. So we'll see what if that fight happens in 2026. Um, we'll see how that all plays out. Um, and then we have that real good Riyadh card, like I said, with Anthony Yardy and David Benavidez. Um, I want to say also on that card is Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes. Abdullah Mason is definitely big shout outs to him because he's from the state of Ohio. I'm from Ohio, so we love our Ohio fighters. Abdullah Mason is the type of fighter to where he's very, very skilled. He's young. We know he's talented. We see what we see, so people definitely could say, hey, he passes the eye test, right? Sam Noakes, from what I'm hearing from Shakur Stevenson and different ones and the footage I've seen from him, he has decent power, and he's going to bring a style to make it a competitive fight for Abdullah Mason. So it's definitely going to be a good style matchup. I will be looking at Sam Noakes a lot more every chance I get, just to kind of be able to formulate a different opinion maybe on Sunday, from today to Sunday. But from what I can see, Sam Noakes is going to be a formidable opponent for Abdullah Mason. What do y'all think about Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes? I see eventually um, Abdullah Mason slowly breaking him down, maybe like mid rounds stoppage, Abdullah Mason. But let me know what y'all think. And I like the fact that I saw an interview, Ring Magazine interview, with Sam Noakes saying that he feels that he will knock out Abdullah Mason. So I love the confidence. I have nothing but big respect for his confidence, and hey, gotta have big respect for any fighter that steps in those ropes in that ring, right? It's a gladiator sport. So shout outs to Sam Noakes. Shout outs to Abdullah Mason from the state of Ohio, USA. Um, so let me see. We talked about Devin Haney, and so let me try to think of any other fights I did not talk about. Um, that were on the radar. I know tomorrow there's going to be the fight with Buatsi, Joshua Buatsi, the guy that everybody wanted to see fight Anthony Yardy. He's going to be fighting tomorrow. I'm not so sure on his opponent yet, so after I see the fight tomorrow, I'll do a recap on Sunday. But Joshua Buatsi will be fighting um, Saturday on tomorrow. Also, if you go to my YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe. Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. Please hit subscribe, it's free. And share this on your social medias. And let some friends and family know if they follow boxing to check me out here at Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. Going live every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, USA. You said I need to watch more Mason and Sam Noakes. I did see that knockout statement though. I'm watching Norman Jr. He seems like he's got good footwork and can manage distance. He does like to stand and bang. Yeah, man, for sure, man. Um, yeah, for sure, bro. He does. He does. So he's gonna definitely bring his skill set, and I think that for sure that Devin Haney does not want to get too comfortable and overlook Brian Norman Jr. I don't think that he is though, but he has been saying in interviews that he genuinely does not know any of the opponents that Brian Norman Jr. fought. So he's kind of looking at it from the standpoint of, I'm Devin Haney. I fought more notable names, or I fought names that resonate with certain people. You know, he fought Kambosos. Kambosos is to me obviously a warrior to step in the ring, but I feel like Kambosos is a throwback fighter, but he falls short. He falls short in the biggest moments. I just don't put him on that top level, but I do respect the fact, that he steps in there in between those ropes and he gives it all he got. You know what I'm saying? But he uses the Kambosos fights. Now I will give him the credit that he did fight Kambosos twice and actually went over to Australia to do that. I do, I do commend that in regard of what Devin Haney did. Now Devin Haney fought Lomachenko in a controversial fight though. That's a controversial fight, and I wish that fight could have got ran back because you definitely want to. You definitely want to run back a fight like that. You said he's good, power as well. It'll be tough to fight Haney. I think he'll be able to outbox him though. Cambosos is a good fighter to test for elite talent, for sure. Cambosos is, and I hope this happens now. I hope that we see, because we've seen it, a lot of talking, but we know how Shakur Stevenson has been in the past as far as what he says and what he actually does. Pen and paper, making fights happen, certain matches happen, is actually different than, you know, you going on an interview saying, I want this person. And that's not just on Shakur Stevenson, that's on a lot of these fighters. So T.O. Lopez, Tefimo Lopez, has been doing the same thing. He's saying that he would fight Shakur Stevenson. In the interview, he said he studied Shakur Stevenson. He sees all the small gaps and that he feels like there are certain things he can expose when it comes to Shakur Stevenson. Um, I don't know. What y'all think? Do you think that T.O. can expose Shakur Stevenson? Or do you see Shakur Stevenson coasting to a points win decision? Let me know what you think in this chat here. And I won't be on here too much longer. I've been on here almost 45 minutes. And I got to get up early in the morning. Um, you said he also said he would fight Matias. Yeah, there's a lot of names that these guys say that they'll fight. Saying it and making it actually happen, or putting the action behind it, are two different things. So we'll definitely see, man. You said I think T.O. has the ability to win on a good day, but Stevenson is more consistent. Yes. Now you do bring up a good point, and that's kind of going back to what I said about T.O. earlier tonight. It's like he'll have that elite level performance. Like when you saw him beat Loma, you're like, oh man. But then you see him fight, like he fought the fight in New York when the Ramirez and all that, the fight they had up in Times Square. Um, he fought Ramirez fought Devin Haney, I believe. Um, Tefimo fought what's that guy's name? I want to say the same guy that fought Canelo, I think. Was it was it Barbosa? Arnold? I'm trying to refresh my memory. But anyways, the T.O. fight he did pretty good. He was boxing and moving in New York, but you know, it was a good performance. I would say that, not great but good. So we'll see, man. We'll see if we get to see all these fights we want to see, because 2026 is right around the corner. And just before I end this live, um, I'm a fan of Anthony Joshua when it comes to the heavyweights. I've always stood on that, so I don't switch up. Now he does come with his flaws, so I probably need to do a video on Anthony Joshua at some point because I'll talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. I can be a fan of you, but I'm going to critique you as well. So you have to understand. If I could say something good about you, I could also say something, that might not be as appealing, but it's not for me to say something trying to be in a disrespectful manner or nothing. It's just me giving my analysis and my perspective and my views. But yeah, Anthony Joshua has his share of his shortcomings as well. I'll probably do a separate video for that though. But anyway, Anthony Joshua, I feel like the fight we need to see next year for sure is Tyson Fury versus AJ. But as we've seen with Tyson Fury, he's saying he's coming out of retirement, and then the next thing he's saying he's going to retire again. It's like he just does like he just goes back and forth all the time. He's always flip-flopping. So I just take whatever he says with a grain of salt. I'm like this other guy I saw on a podcast. He said, look, when it comes to Tyson Fury, if you're going to fight, fight. And if you're not going to fight, just be done with it and get out of the social media and get out of the public eye as far as, jumping in all these interviews or making all these posts, you know what I mean, if you're not going to actually fight. Because you say one thing, you do another, or you do another and you say something, it gets kind of irritating. You said, these are some exciting fights coming up. Nice learning from you. Tyson versus AJ has always been a fight I've been craving since Joshua beat Ruiz in the rematch. Absolutely, man, absolutely. So that's definitely something, that we could talk about maybe a little bit more on Sunday. So yeah, I appreciate you stopping through, man. I go live on this Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, United States of America. So hopefully you'll tune in on this Sunday when I go live, and I'll do some more pop-up lives every now and then throughout the weekdays as well. So thanks for tuning in, y'all, here at Ringwalk Boxing Podcast. Also remember, in the description area, when you go back to my other YouTube videos, we have merch. They deliver worldwide. So we got the hats, we got the t-shirts, the Ringwalk Boxing Podcast t-shirts, and we got some other stuff on there if you get online and look. Also, we have an area where you could donate. We have a Venmo, so you can make donations to help the channel and show your support to Ringwalk Boxing Podcast. So I will see you guys on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, USA. Everyone have a safe night, and I will catch you on the next round. Peace.